Before the season even kicks off, soccer fans are already making predictions. Who wins the league? Who qualifies for Europe? And who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code CUP26 to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Hello everyone and welcome to Haway The Podcast. It's Gavin. You join us today for a news roundup. There's quite a bit going on in the world of Sunderland, and obviously we're going to be here to talk all about it, aren't we? Because we are Haway The Podcast, your daily SAFC podcast. Joining me today to chat all about these things. First up, we've got Brett. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Well, it's nice actually speaking to you when it's not like a million degrees outside. It's
know.
yeah. I saw grey skies earlier. I think a little bit of drizzle. Oh, wonderful times.
It's been absolutely papping it down in Sunderland today. I went out in the car on my lunch break today and just decided not to get out the car. It was that bad. And I think we've just had a month's worth of rain in one afternoon in Sunderland. But I'm not going to complain. My grass was screaming for a drink, so my plants are happy that I don't have to just dust them with a hose because I'm tight with water. Also with us is Andrew. Hello, mate.
Hello, Mara. Yeah, it was mad that rain earlier, wasn't it? I was in the car. I was in the car at the same time as well. Had the wipers on, like full blast, and it was weird. It was like something out of a film. That
It was, wasn't it? And the drains were clogged, so every street in Sunderland was flooded for about 10 minutes. Aye. Anyways, that's enough of the weather chat. You think we had nothing to talk about?
We are so British right now, aren't we?
Do you know, I've become really conscious of the fact most of my conversations start about the weather with everybody I ever talk to. Like, I walk in my mum and dad's, it's the weather. See someone at work, we talk about the weather. Is that a me thing, or is that just an every British person thing? I don't know. I think it's probably more of a me thing at the minute. I'm just boring. But yes, Sunderland, lads. I see we've got plenty to talk about. I want to start off with a probably one of the less notable stories, but still, it's a story nonetheless because Sunderland's under-21s took on PSV Eindhoven at the Stadium of Light on Wednesday afternoon, didn't they, Andrew? And you took that game in, mate. What was it like being back in the stadium first and foremost? And how was the game?
the game was really enjoyable. Actually, that's where I was driving when the heavens decided
Right.
to open, and I thought for a split second, oh, if it carries on like this much longer, the pitch might very quickly get waterlogged. But to be fair to the players, there was a couple of showers during the game, didn't seem to affect either side. And it was just as a game of football to watch was really enjoyable, Gav. I was there with me mate, and we were having a chat. You know, some of these players who played might end up on this B list for the Europa League. So one or two of the lads that featured might end up getting a first team game. So it's good that they're playing against foreign teams. PSV were decent. Our goal, I don't know if either of you have had a chance to see it, but our goal was really well taken. Felix Scott, I think it was. And last 20 minutes or so, it all went a bit crazy. There was a load of added on time because I think it was quite full-blooded. There was a few, injuries just because people were getting stuck in. It wasn't like nasty fouls or nothing. And yeah, like the last maybe 20 minutes or so, just both sides going at each other, trying to get a winner. So there's worse ways to spend a Wednesday afternoon when you're having a long lunch off work.
Well, that was the thing when I watched. I saw some bits and pieces of the highlights. It was quite a feisty game, wasn't it? Do you think so? Anybody who's not seen the highlights, there was a moment where Treog and Suey went round the goalkeeper outside the box and was brought down. I thought that should have been a red card. The ref gave a yellow. What was your take on it?
I wondered if he'd knocked the ball a bit too wide. It looked as if he was going to have to like go to quite a wide angle, but uh, at the risk of sounding like an analyst on the TV, you've seen him given. I don't think
Yeah.
the keeper could have complained. There was a moment in the second half where the keeper's gone up for a cross and he's punched it out, and he's kind of clocked Ogunsuni on the head as well. So the keeper was on a little bit of a tightrope. But that move there, Gav, I think this was one of the examples. Some of Tom Proctor's work was brilliant. He was trying little flicks and little through balls and that. I think for that move, it might have been him who'd set.
It was. Yeah, it was.
I think that had set him away on the chance in the first place. That was good play. And I wasn't howling for it, but I think if he'd been sent off, Gav, he couldn't have really argued the case.
And there was a really good chance for Ogunsui a couple of minutes before that as well, where he was actually he went round the keeper and then smashed it high and wide. So it wasn't a great day for him in front of goal. But the bits and bobs that I saw look pretty decent. Was there a good crowd there?
Yeah, there was actually. We were sat at the back, as expected. There was a canny few kids there with it being the summer holidays. A couple of lads near me were trying to get a couple of chants going, and nobody was having a go. People were like, "Hey man, shut up! I'm just here for a nice, pleasant afternoon."
That's something I would hire in Room 101, by the way. People who persistently chant during under-21s games. It's one of the worst things about going to them games at the stadium. I don't know what it is, because like they're only singing Sunderland songs, but some of the songs they're singing are the worst kind of Sunderland songs, like the ones that I can't be arsed with, and it just goes on and on. Or you'll get people who you sometimes get like older fellas who feel like the Billy Big Bollocks in front of loads of kids who are joining in with them, find them funny, don't you? It's a weird. You've just got to be at one of these games to understand exactly what I'm on about. But I mean, singing at a 21s game's a bit of a not for me.
They were giving it the old if you hate Newcastle, clap your hands.
All that shit.
And all it took was one or two people to clap, so these lads thought they were the boys. I tell you who was sat near us, who was in the crowd. I've forgotten his first name, but Marcus Neal's dad, who used to be
Lucas Neal.
Aye, he was there. His boy came on towards the end and got a few minutes, so he took in the game, and Finn Garagoosen was sat near us, so we did a bit of star spotting as well as everything else.
Andrew, am I right in thinking there was a lad, a 16-year-old that played Charlie Scorer?
Yes, yeah, that's a good. He only came on towards the end, Brad.
Oh, did he?
Aye.
Was he likely to see much of it, or?
No comment on him.
Yeah.
I don't think he had enough time to really make an impact. It's with a name like that, he's obviously going to be. People are going to look out for him.
It's like a cartoon character, isn't it?
Aye. Charlie Scorer amongst the goals again. But he's actually a name who I've not seen a lot of. So I wonder if he's somebody who's a little bit under, like in one of the younger age groups, and he's now like progressing ahead of his years. So good luck to him, but I have to be honest, Brett, mate, I couldn't give you a fair assessment of him at the moment.
What about Agilisi? How did he do?
Fine, Gav. Yeah. He got through the game, no problems. He tried a few like adventurous balls over the top that some of them were really well hit. A couple of them weren't quite right. But I think if you were watching that game and somebody said, "Oh, by the way, he's got senior football on his CV," you wouldn't have been shocked. He looked like he could have easily been a play at a level above it. He wasn't tested, he wasn't out of his comfort zone.
Did he get the full 90?
I think he did. He certainly got the majority, unless he went off in the last few minutes, and by that point I was too busy chewing me mate's lungs off. Basically rotting on. I don't know if you know though, but he's he's proper gone down to the wood. He
Oh,
he shaved all his hair off. So when he walked onto the pitch, it took us a moment to work out who he was. It completely changed him. But yeah, he got through the game, no problems, and I think it was purely a fitness thing for him, just to get a bit of sharpness into him.
I was just about to say, I think the club are probably doing him a favour, saying, "Oh, get your games in," because he's got to prove to anybody looking at him that he can actually finish a game of football, because he's struggled, hasn't he, over the last few years with injuries. So that'll have done him plenty favours, I guess. There'll have been scouts there watching him, because he got a loan to Portsmouth last year, and actually say when he's fit, he's a good player. If he'd been fit at the start of last season, he would have started the first game of the season against West Ham. So he's never been too far away. But yeah, hopefully that's the start of us getting him a decent move somewhere, because I think the only thing standing in his way is his own fitness, really. Right, we'll move on slightly, Brett, and we'll talk a little bit about our first transfer story of the day. I think it's Geny Catamo. I'm going to go with that. Could say Catamo, but it's too close to Catamo, as we keep saying on this pod. So we'll go Catamo. There's been a few different stories out in the mix, particularly today as we record this. I've seen stories saying that Sunderland aren't far off from meeting the valuation. I've seen stories saying Sporting are more open to talking to us if we can reach a certain amount of money. Then I've seen stories saying Sporting have already got their eyes on a replacement for him. Then there's been more stories tonight as we record this saying that Sporting have got no intention of selling him, and it would have to basically be a fee which hits his release clause that would let him speak to us and get him to talk to us. But I think let's just talk generally about this story, right? It was sort of leaked through the media a week and a half ago, something like that, and kind of gone quiet, and it's picked up in the last couple of days, hasn't it? And I'm very much getting the feeling that there is probably quite a lot in this, and all of the noise seems to be coming from the Portuguese media, so you don't know quite what the true story is. What's your gut feeling on this player? Do you think we're going to sign him? Like, do you think he could be a Sunderland player come? We've got a fortnight of the window left. What's your gut feeling?
I genuinely hope he does. My gut feeling is that it goes ahead. Now, I think it's pretty much a good thing as fans. Obviously, this is our second season in a Premier League window, so we're a bit more au fait with the use of these like agents on Twitter and all these. Basically they're a tool. They're a tool for the clubs. We use them. Other clubs use them. And they're all a selling tool. They're all a buying tool of trying to get deals over the line. And as you just said there, depending on who you follow on X, not Twitter, depending on who you follow, this transfer is at completely different levels. I always go with the assumption that there's no smoke without fire. And as you just said, where it went a bit quiet and the noise has picked up again, they're trying to call our bluff. And we're lucky that we've got, our team. Florent knows what he's doing. This isn't his first rodeo. He's more than capable of looking him in the eyes and getting the best deal for us. Now, I'm sure, we could have 2 weeks ago, well, not that we want to, but, there's that release clause. We could have paid that, got him. The longer this goes on, the longer it drags out, that price, I think, will start chipping down. They're going to keep saying, we want XXX. We'll keep throwing back WY, price will come back and forth. But I think, there's a biting point where both they're going to be happy to sell and we're going to be happy to buy. And it's just in the day, we're just flirting with each other at this stage till that happens. And it just depends on if it's going to be the next couple of days or is it going to be next week or just as that window slams shut, the deal comes over the line. But no, I'm without having any knowledge of what's going on in the deal whatsoever, I do believe he'll be a Sunderland player coming, once that transfer window shuts.
Are you that confident, Andrew? What's your gut saying?
I'm along the same lines as Brett. I think the thing that will drive this on is, regardless of what we're offering the club, the word is we're going to be like tripling or quadrupling his wages or something like that. And if the player wants to move, that's usually a huge factor. You know, I'm not criticizing him of having a bad attitude or anything, but would you as a club want to keep hold of a player if he could be getting huge money elsewhere and perhaps is going to then not feel as happy anymore? It's a big risk, isn't it? So it was similar with the Dayann Methalie story, and I know we'll touch on that down the line. But that was one of the first things that came out, that the player was happy with the move and that seemingly personal terms were quite agreeable. And I think it will be the same with Catamo. It's an opportunity for him to move to a bigger league, plenty of money in his back pocket. I saw one report. I can't remember who the source was. Sorry, there's that much stuff floating about. But seemingly his style of football, his strengths would suit the Premier League as well. So that might be something he likes the sound of, wants to go somewhere where he can showcase himself and be at his best. So, yeah, as Brett says, the selling club will want one figure, we'll offer a different one, and then we'll meet in the middle, I guess.
I also think, as Andrew sort of sounded on there as well, that it doesn't get to this stage. But gone are the days when tapping up was actually frowned upon. It seems to be that you now do the deal with the player first, then you speak to the club. And it's, as I say, because it doesn't get this far down the line, agree a price, and all of a sudden the player goes, "Oh, I don't want to go to Sunderland." We know full well he wants to come to us. There's interest there for it to get to this far down the line. So, yeah, that's why that's another reason why I think it gets this far, it's going to happen.
I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit more cautious about it. I'm not 100%, but that's not because I don't think the player wants to come or anything. I think the fee is it's a big fee that they're asking for, and if they're adamant they want the release clause, I can't see us paying, what's it meant to be, 60 million euro,
60
which
million,
equates
what I'm
to
saying.
what's it, 53? I think it's 53 million quid, something in that region. I'm not too sure.
It's a bargain, Gav. It's a bargain at the moment. Apparently, it's only 51.5 million. So there you go.
Get it now before that exchange rate changes again.
But that's an awful lot of money. It's not that I don't think we'll pay that kind of money to sign a player if we think they're worth it. I think we'll spend anything if we think they're worth it. But I think this might be one of them where it goes right to the wire, and actually, I would imagine from Sporting's perspective, the longer they hold out on this, they're probably hoping somebody else comes in as well. And that's my biggest fear here, is that the longer this goes on, somebody who can spend that money, there are a couple of clubs in the Premier League who are coming into money at the minute because they're selling all the best players, that somebody like that comes along and gets a deal done a lot quicker. Now, we've not heard of any other interest in him, but weird things happen in the transfer market. Soon as a club starts selling players and they're a bit flush, they're more willing to part with cash. I think we might struggle then.
I also think that what you'll find as well then, when you're saying we've not heard anything, I can guarantee the next few days there'll be certain clubs will be mentioned again through these like Twitter journalists. All of a sudden Villa are interested or so and so's interested.
Yeah.
That's going to start coming out, and they might not have even looked at him. So.
No, that's it. Yeah, we. This is the thing, right? We can comment all we like on these stories. We don't know what the truth of this one is. But yeah, I'm a bit more cautious. I'm not saying I don't think it'll happen. I just think it's. I think there's a little bit more going to go on here. I would love for tomorrow morning to wake up and see a story. Son have agreed a fee. Players heading over for a medical, and actually passes the medical, which is which can, I suppose, segue us nicely into the next story, because Dayann Methalie, we all saw the pictures of him inside the Stadium of Light wearing a Sunderland shirt with a number 6 on his back, had welcome Methalie on the screens inside the stadium, all his family there. Sky Sports had pictured him getting off a private jet at Sunderland North Airport. And we all thought, well, this is a done deal. And then something crops up in the medical, which prompts us to send him back to France. I would imagine, and this is based also on the stories which we've seen come out of France, that he's being seen by doctors in France who will be working on behalf of Toulouse and their lawyers, and they'll be checking him out to see if what Sunderland's doctors are saying is true. And I would imagine there might be some renegotiation to go on. Now, we'll go back to gut feelings on this, and I'll start with you, Andrew, because Dayann Methalie, we've wanted him all summer. Everything is agreed here. The only sticking point is whatever they found on this medical, and you would imagine some renegotiation of terms on the deal. Where are you at with this one? Because I'll just give my viewpoint on this. I don't think we'd still be up in the air with what's going on if it was off. I think the fact that things are still open, things are still happening, that my gut feeling is this will still happen. But you can't help but be a bit tetchy about things, because we've seen, particularly last year with Armand Laurienté, we saw a medical failure there and that deal fell apart. So again, how are you feeling with this one?
I know what you're saying in that it's clear that there's still a deal to be done. This isn't dead in the water. We can only guess. Again, like you said, we're trying to make educated guesses on what information's available and how the club have been before. We know the club will walk away from a deal if it's not right. And I respect that, because there's a lot of pressure on them at the moment to get players in, but they stick to their guns. I think there'll just be a bit of horse trading with this one. Perhaps some of the upfront fee now turns back into potential additional add-ons now, which ironically is what we're led to believe was what turned this into a goer in the first place, that Sunderland were willing to put more on the table straight away and guarantee more money. So, yeah, negotiations to take place. The player will be gutted, because Gav, you're dead right. He's been at the stadium and had all the exciting bits and the photos and all of that. So he's going to feel pretty, well, all at sea at the moment, because he's about to make a life-changing move, and now it's all up in, it's all up for debate. So he can't be feeling too clever. I have a feeling that Toulouse's medical representatives are going to come back with a completely different opinion of what ours say. We need to get some sort of independent opinion on this one, because otherwise it's just going to be two sets of clubs waving X-rays at each other. But we're quite savvy. There's always an element of risk in these deals. It doesn't seem as if it's like a deal breaker, but we've found something that's raised a couple of questions, and Sunderland are perfectly within their rights to review their situation and see if they can tweak things or just give themselves an extra element of protection.
Yeah. Again, Brett, gut feeling, what you're thinking about Dayann Methalie? Do you think he's going to be a Sunderland player by, I don't know, the end of this week, like next week? Like what you thinking? Do you think it'll die, this deal? Like, where you at?
I think he will be Sunderland's new number 6 beginning of next week. I think we are going to go back to the negotiation table. You both said the same thing that I'm thinking, really. It'll be restructuring the deal. It might mean, certain clauses or maybe kicking after 20 games this season or whatever. It might even cost us slightly more, maybe $1 million. We'll chuck an extra $1 million in if he hits a target quicker, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I think, again, as you said, if it was something that was really, really bad, the deal's off. If he, we do it and he's got no cartilage in his knees, that deal's off. I think it's just a case of they're saying not quite right. We'll restructure the deal. The fact that everyone's, as we said, in his head, he's moved on. He's a Sunderland player almost in his head. I can't see nothing. I don't think it's going to be immediate. I don't think it'll be like tomorrow, before the weekend. I don't think during the Ipswich game it'll get announced or anything like that, like it did, on Saturday during the match that it got announced, or rumours came out. I think, beginning of next week, we'll have sat down over the weekend. That deal will be ironed out, and I do think he'll be a Sunderland player.
Do we reckon, lads, if this does pan out and he does come along, do we read anything into the fact that he's likely to get squad number 6? Because we haven't got a number 3 in the squad at the moment. Is this a player who the club think can compete for a position where he's part of a back 3 or something like that? Or am I just looking too much into it?
I actually looked when you saw the picture of holding the shirt. I was trying so hard to see, is there a bit of a curve? And it's like 26 or something like that. And even in that moment when I said really confidently, he'll be Sunderland's number 6, well, shit, he might not be actually at all.
It'll be interesting though to see how things kind of work out, because I think we're just so far down the line now that it's like he can't go back to Toulouse now, surely. He's been pictured in a Sunderland shirt. He's already agreed to leave. He'll said his goodbyes. It's all done. The only bit that's not done is the terms of the deal, and presumably the fee, and maybe the way the add-ons are structured. Like, if he hadn't been across and done all of his media and all those sort of things, and I think it might be a different situation then.
It'll be really awkward on Friday when he has to re-put all his stuff back in his locker.
Aye.
Having emptied everything out.
Try and unsend the text he sent to abusive text he sent to the manager and things like that.
He's burned all his bridges.
If he sees how bad the rain's been in Sunderland since his trip over here, he might be thinking, "Oh, I'm glad this deal's collapsed."
Well, I stuck a quick poll about 2 or 3 minutes on our X page, asking people where their confidence are at and whether they think he'll end up signing for Sunderland. And it's only a small amount of votes because I've literally just posted it, but 56.5% of voters have said yes. So we're not far off a 50-50 split on votes there, but slightly more people are saying yes than no. So, I think some of that nervousness probably just comes from the lack of business, really. A lot of people are maybe just not as confident about things because of the fact that this is stalled right at the end, and you think, "Oh, bloody hell, why is this not getting over the line?" It's just one of them things that's cropped up. I don't think there's an awful lot that we can really do about this, and it's one of those things. Right, chaps, we will shoot for a quick ad break, and then when we come back, we've got another little transfer story to chat all about, including Jocelin. So we'll see you all after these ads.
Before the season even kicks off, soccer fans are already making predictions. Who wins the league? Who qualifies for Europe? And who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code CUP26 to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade the beautiful game. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Welcome back to Haway The Podcast, and we'll pick back up with a story, Brett, on Jocelin Tarbi, who signed for the club in January from a club in Israel whose names escaped us, was actually introduced pretty quickly into the first team fold and then got a start, I think, against Fulham, the home game against Fulham. I might be wrong.
Did he come off injured against Fulham?
He did, indeed. He came off injured in that game and then obviously struggled to get back into the team as the season progressed, then started pre-season, played in that York game, and then his visa gets denied to enter the US, which stalls his pre-season. And in the games in France and then back home, he did play a part. But I think it's very clear, we're out there trying to sign a top-end, experienced, top-level right midfield player in, presumably Geny Catamo or whoever else. And also, you've got Chris Rigg, you've got Trey Hume who can play out there, Angulo. So it's likely that Tarbi's opportunities are going to be limited, certainly in the first part of the season anyways. And there's been Stories today as we record this in the French media, and it's Foot Mercato reporting that Lyon, Nice and Le Havre are amongst League One clubs interested in his services, with West Ham, Burnley, Hull and Lorient also having made inquiries in the player. He remains highly rated despite his disrupted first few months at Sunderland. And obviously he had a great summer, didn't he, with Ivory Coast at the Toulon tournament, where he scored 4 goals and nabbed himself an assist, which has obviously got him on the radar of a lot of these clubs. Jocelin, somebody who I think looks quite exciting. I think the definition of raw, really. Not someone who's played an awful lot of football. What do you think the best thing for him and his career is? Is it a loan away, or would you rather keep him around the first team?
I actually don't think a loan for him would be a bad thing at this moment in time. There's definitely, there's also, as you, perfect word, he's raw. And I think the club actually do rate him. The fact that he's been in the first team straight away. I think maybe the actual not going to America, he's obviously had to train on his own or with somebody like beforehand during that time. He might be a little bit behind everyone else. The fact that we are looking in his position and there's options there, his game time is going to be limited. So yeah, I don't think a short loan, not a year out, to like at the end of the year, couldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't think personally going to France would be good though. I wouldn't actually mind. Like, but when we get normal young players, you loan into a championship team or League One team. So I wouldn't mind him sticking around to sort of toughen him up a little bit. You're not going to get much tougher leagues in the Championship. So I actually wouldn't be against that. Just for a short-term loan, let him see what it's like for English football. Get a proper appreciation of it. It's a hard, it's a fast league. And then bring him back at Christmas in January and see where we are with him. So yeah, I think his game time will be limited. So I don't think it's the worst thing in this exact moment in time for him.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? Are you on board with loaning him out? I actually think I slightly disagree with Brett on this. I don't mind the idea of him going to France. I think obviously he speaks French. That's one thing. We do seem to look quite closely at the French game. I think the top end of the French game is probably the closest matched in terms of physicality and pace of the game to the Premier League, I think. You can see that in the amount of players that come from France to the Premier League and to the Championship. It's very close in terms of physicality and stuff. So I don't mind him going there, but if the rumours of Hull being interested, for instance, are true, they're a Premier League team. West Ham and Burnley, 2 clubs who are going to be at the top end of the Championship. I don't mind those either. I mean, what's the best fit for him? Is it one of those clubs or is it staying with us?
Well, I think I certainly wouldn't be wanting to let him go anywhere until we've got our business sorted, because I think he could get a few minutes for us this season. And, I don't want to go down the whole road about we haven't done much in the transfer market yet. But if we were to sign 1 or 2 more players before the deadline, I'd feel a little bit easier about them going away. I'm not surprised French clubs are looking at him. I mean, 2 weeks in a row now, we've beaten 2 of the best sides in France. I mean, Lens, we went to their place, won 2-0. A few days later, they're beating Paris Saint-Germain in their version of the Community Shield, who were Champions League.
And they were good as well, by the way. I watched that game and they dug in and they had 10 men for much of the game. And I felt that game in Lens, and I felt was played at the pace of a normal game, because the atmosphere was electric from start to finish. And it was about as close as you get to a proper game in a pre-season friendly. So I was, having watched them play against PSG in that game, I was pretty proud of our performance based off that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And this is what I'm saying. I think some French clubs will have looked at Sunderland in that game, and then at the weekend, we weren't quite as good in parts against Rennes, but still we beat them deservedly. So French clubs are going to look at some of our fringe players and think, oh, could they do something for us? Tell you what I find fascinating about Jocelin. you said earlier, Gav, you couldn't remember the club we'd signed him from. So I've just had a little look on Wiki there. He hadn't played much for the club we bought him from. Most of his games were for a team that he went to on loan. And the vast majority were in the second tier. So this is a lad who he's played less than 50 senior games. Virtually none of them have been at a high standard, without wanting to be rude. But, to expect a lad to come into the Premier League and hit the ground running when he's played most of his games in the second tier of the Israeli pyramid is a big ask. So I wouldn't necessarily have had him in line for a loan move. I thought the club would have wanted to keep him around and use him as a player from the bench, use him as a squad player. But having now seen that, Sunderland might very well, if they get the cover in, if they get their primary targets in, they might well just want him to go somewhere else and make his mistakes elsewhere and learn his role and take the knocks somewhere else. But again, you said Hull were one of the clubs. To have a Premier League club looking at Sunderland's fringe players and wanting to bring them in just shows the level we're at now, and some of the players we've got on our books. They're seriously talented prospects.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And I think for him, I probably put him in the same bracket as Melker Elborg. And interestingly, they both signed in the January window. So I feel like we probably brought them in a little earlier than many other clubs would have, just because we saw the potential. But I think they're two players who need to get their reps in and need to be playing. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Elborg go either. I think we've talked about this on the pod recently, where we were chatting about the potential of bringing in a more experienced number 2 to back up Roofs to allow Elborg to go out on loan. Obviously, there's the whole juggling around of foreign players when it comes to the Europa League squad, and you only get so many slots to be able to play them, and yada, yada, yada. So it might work out better for everyone if some of these lads do go out on loan. And I think in the case of Elborg and Tarby, yes, there's an awful lot to be gained from being around our first team, travelling away to these Europa games, getting the odd minutes here and there. But also, a full season of football somewhere is going to be good for them too, if the level of the level of club they're going to is strong. And we're not talking about sending them to League One clubs anymore, or, bottom end championship teams, or send them to for instance, like mid-table Belgian teams or whatever. We're on about sending them to good clubs if they do go out on loan. And I think that's important with some of these lads, is to give them the game time that they need. Because I would rather play a player in a year's time who's played 30, 40 games somewhere than I would someone who's just been on the bench and got the odd minutes here and there. I think, at their age, they need to be playing games. And eventually they might be good enough for Sunderland, but we can't guarantee that game time to them necessarily yet. So I don't know about you, Brett, but yeah, I think it might be for the best, particularly with him. I think he's going to need to play games, because he hasn't played a lot of football even in Israel, you know what I mean, as Andrew pointed out.
But one thing I would actually also add to that, when I said they'd be good, while I think France is probably not best for him, it would also help for him to be in England, to get used to living here. So if he's been moving around a lot already, he's living out in Israel, come here for 6 months, going to France, I actually think it'd be better. Like someone like Burnley would actually, I think, be ideal for him. Northern England, well, obviously southern of you boys, but north of England, but so he's still getting himself settled in the country as well. I think that'd actually be a massive benefit for him. I almost feel like France would be the easy option.
Aye, yeah, but perhaps. Were you going to say something, Andrew? I thought you were going to jump in there. You were dying to make a point. Go on.
I was just nodding along. I can see.
He was going to call Burnley South. That's why.
No. I can see. I can see the arguments you're both making. One thing I will say, mind, just going back to that under-21 game today, Joe Cowan in goal is a real talent. He played really well in the second half, made some excellent saves against players who I think were a bit more experienced than our boys. Now, I'm not saying he's ready for the first team yet. I'm definitely not saying that. But just when you were talking about Elborg there, Gav, again,
Yeah.
in terms of senior appearances, he can't have played more than 25 games yet. So
No.
if Elborg was away somewhere else learning his trade, and somebody like Cowan was just filling the void on the training ground at least, or part of the travelling squad for some games, he might benefit loads from it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking at him and thinking, we need to give him a path to the first team eventually,
Yeah,
because he's going to be getting to that level soon. I really think that about them.
I think Cowan was in some of the squads towards the end of last season, the matchday squads.
Right,
I'm pretty sure he was on the pitch warming up with the keepers at Newcastle,
right.
which was when Roofs was injured. I'm pretty sure he was the third keeper that day. So yeah, you're probably right. You know, they'll be looking at him and seeing how he copes in training against the more experienced players and stuff. But yeah, I mean, just it kind of underlines the point. We've got some really good young players on the periphery, haven't we? All right, lads, moving along slightly. There's been a couple of fixture moves. These ones were expected, though. Bournemouth and Leeds in October have been both moved to the Sunday. Obviously, these games fall on a week where we're playing in the Europa League, and we don't know where we're going to be yet. But Bournemouth away, hopefully that comes after a home game, because it's already a trek and a half for the lads. So you can imagine, if we're midweek somewhere, arse end of nowhere, and then we've then got to travel to Bournemouth. That's a lot of travel over a short space of time, because then after that, we've also got another midweek Europa game. That's going to be a busy couple of weeks, isn't it? We're going to have, I think we've got Brighton on the weekend before, then a Europa game, then Bournemouth on the Sunday, then another Europa game midweek, then Leeds at home, and then Coventry like 6 days after that. So we've got a really congested October. This is no surprise to us. We knew games were going to be, we're going to have times like this where there's lots and lots of games in a short space of time. Great for us as fans and as podcasters, because it means there's lots of things to talk about. And also some ticket news. This isn't nothing major, but I wanted to bring this up, Andrew, because I think it's interesting. The Fulham home game. Now, this went to a ballot, as is new. It's the first game of the season. So we were told you're going to have to ballot for games now. Members got first dibs on the ballot, put their names in the hat. From what I've read, people who'd asked in the ballot to be put forward for the cheaper tickets ended up with more expensive tickets. And then this game has gone to general sale. So some of those cheaper tickets have become available after the ballot. I will, however, also add that Fulham have sent an awful lot of tickets back by the looks of it, because a massive amount of the away end has become available to Sunderland fans as well. So on the plus side, more tickets available to our fans, but it's just an interesting first look at how all this balloting and the distribution of tickets is going, because I think a lot of people probably thought, well, if I don't go into the ballot, I have no chance of getting a ticket for the Fulham game. As it's turned out, it's probably caused a bit of confusion, maybe put people off from going forward for tickets. I don't know. And in the end, pretty much everybody who wants a Fulham ticket can get one. I mean, it's only the first home game, but I don't know about you. That's a bit shit, isn't it?
I mean, it's like you say, it's new to the fans, it's new to the club, so we're all going to have to try and get our heads round it. Had our first home game been a Saturday 3:00 kickoff, or against one of the, here come the bunny ears again, but the big boys, perhaps it doesn't get to general sale. I don't know. We'll only find that out in due course. When I had a look, the only available tickets at the time of recording were in that section, which is sometimes given over to away fans. So yeah, that's part of it. And perhaps the timing of things hasn't helped the club here. Maybe at the time of the ballot, they didn't know Fulham were going to return that many seats. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I do, though, that line there you said, Gav, about how people who've asked for lower priced tickets have then been forced to buy more expensive ones. on the face of it, that feels a little bit poor.
Yeah.
I've
seen more than one person say that on social media. So, and I think when I looked on the Ready to Go thread about it as well, people were saying the same thing, that they'd bought more expensive tickets, and then they've then logged on to see tickets in concession areas were on sale.
Yeah, I mean, no reason not to believe those people. This is just my immediate reaction, though. It does feel a bit harsh. If the club come out with a valid reason, I'm willing to hear it. But at this moment in time, I don't think that is fair. I don't think that is right. And Brett himself has raised concerns about the membership process. In general, I'm okay with the idea, but certainly there's lots of things to iron out here. Lots of things that the club maybe need to twerk or look at again. This Fulham game seems to be one of those things. Just going back, you're talking about those rescheduled games at Bournemouth and against Leeds. We really could do with, ahead of the Bournemouth trip, somebody from France or somewhere in that region, so the players can just travel from France to Bournemouth and cut down on a bit of the travelling. There are going to be, though, loads of Sunday games this season, so this won't be the last time that we end up with a potentially unattractive fixture on a Sunday, a fixture that's readily available on Sky, so some people might save their money for other matches. And I get the feeling this won't be the last time the membership scheme gets brought into focus this season.
Yeah, well, as Andrew said there, Brett, you are an exile with a membership to take the floor, mate. What do you think about all this? Were you going to try and get a ticket for this game? Like,
I've got a ticket. I've got a ticket. So so this membership scheme, as an exile, so from my door to the Stadium of Light is 232 miles. Because of my life, I've got two daughters who both play football, like 11 and 13. They both play football on weekends. So I have to pick and choose the games I get to. I've had to pay £98 for myself and both of them to get memberships. And the most annoying thing for me about this membership scheme, and I get it that all teams are doing it, it's the way forward. I'm putting money into the club. I get it. All of this app and stuff behind paywalls and that. I'll be honest, I couldn't really care less about, because I just want to be able to I want to be able to buy tickets. Last season I went up for the Leeds game last Christmas, and I brought my daughters up, and because it was how the tickets were sold, you had to have a membership. And I'll be 100% honest, the season before they couldn't get to a game. So technically, they couldn't buy a ticket for the Leeds game at Christmas. And I had to get a couple of friends, get their ticket numbers, and pay £40 for my kids, for each of them, for a ticket for that match, because they couldn't go otherwise. So I said, at the start of this season, I need to get them to a home game as soon as possible. Get them so they've got their history, so then I can then be paying kids tickets again. Thankfully for me, the Fulham game got moved to the Sunday, because when it was a Saturday, I couldn't go. Again, because they had tournaments on. So I also then couldn't go to the Arsenal game, because, again, life was there. And I was thinking all of a sudden it's going to be Brighton, which is in October, is going to be the first time we're going to get up to the Stadium of Light, which is ridiculous. So I've got my membership. I thought, right, I'm going to get the membership. I'm going to get tickets for Fulham. My dad's also got some as well. So we are going up for that Fulham game. And the most annoying thing is, and we've got like an Exiles chat that I've got, it's the fear of missing out as this season has been the biggest thing about this membership. How many tickets have they sold? How many memberships have they actually sold? Nobody knows. There's 4,000 tickets available on general sale normally, 4,000, 5,000, not hundreds what the number is. Now, clearly it's obvious that Fulham hadn't sold out. I say people pick and choose their games. So it might be that we've got 10,000 members, and it might be that only 3,000 have applied and there's 2,000 tickets for sale. I don't know. It's really, really like, so the big question was, do you buy a membership or not, or do you wait for general sale? So my mindset was, I've got to get it. I want to go up for a Europa League game this season. I want to go to the Mags game this season. Like literally as soon as that Chelsea game finished, I said to my missus, I've got 4 days holiday at work left. I'm using them to go watch Sunderland play. I'm going to go up a midweek game. I have to go up on a Thursday, stay in a hotel, drive home on a Friday. That's 2 days holiday. So it's not picking and choosing games. It's just life. So, but if I want to do that, I need to buy a membership. Which I'm fine with. So I've got it. But yeah, so then when you see it go on general sale, is really, really like, oh, fuck, did I actually need one? The Arsenal game could be a good barometer. Will that sell out? But again, for me, if I went to go up for that, it's the Great North Run that weekend. Like I said before, it's £250 for a hotel. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. I can't go up there with the kids and drive back through the night. I think the only times this game sells out, like we may sell out if we've got enough members, is when we play a big boy. Liverpool is a Wednesday. That's not going to sell out because Exiles won't travel up for the Liverpool game. Man United might actually be the first on over Christmas because you've got people travelling back. If you get a plum European tie, and I'm going to put this in the group, if you get AC Milan or Juventus third or fourth game, the first and second games probably won't sell out. If we get like Karabag, but I've also got AC Milan, well, I'm going to try and get up for the AC Milan game because I can only go up for one of those games. So I've gone a massive tangent then for no apparent reason. But the biggest problem with this membership is, and the whole selling point the club have got is FOMO. It's fear of missing out. That's why they said the other day when the ticket, I got an email over the weekend saying, you're a member, you can still buy your Fulham ticket. They wanted it to sell out to members and not go on general sale. But it has done. So, is it because there's not enough members? Is it because, say, people are picking and choosing? I don't think we'll actually find out until we get Juventus at home in October. We might not ever find out if we've actually sold enough memberships to sell out that stadium.
Yeah. It's all interesting stuff, Andrew. But I am. I feel sorry for the likes of Brett and anybody who basically isn't a season ticket holder and lives outside the area, because there's so much stress on you to try and be a fan now. I think this is the big thing I'm picking up from everybody I speak to. Like Chris and Martin were talking about the same sort of things the other week. I mean, Martin's over in April and he'd be coming from Australia, and he might get 2 games if we manage to progress to the latter stages of the Europa League. But he's looking at it thinking, it's the only chance I'm going to get in the next couple of years to watch Sunderland play, and I don't know if I can get a ticket. It's probably made quite a lot of people really anxious about the support of the club.
Oh, massively! Literally, I've said when this the Fulham game came up, I said because I weren't sure what game I could get to afterwards. But shit, if I don't get to that Fulham match, when am I going to get the girls their tickets sorted out? I'm not paying another 40-odd quid to take 11-year-old to a football match. So it sounds really big. I'm sure there's people listening now going, that Cockney's moaning on, but it's stressful. You want to see your team play. I've been watching Sunderland since I was 8 years old. I'm 44 now. So if someone says to me, like, you can't watch them play anymore, it's game over. I live for this club at the moment, and don't let the accent fool you. It's Sunderland is a massive part of my life. So I want to go watch this if I lived any further north, I'd have a season ticket, but I physically cannot have one. It's not possible.
On that point, Brett, I'd like to think I speak for all proper Sunderland fans. I don't care about anybody's accent. I don't care about what the birth certificate says. If you're a genuine Sunderland fan, you're welcome. I genuinely believe that, and I'd like to think the club operated on that idea as well. With regards to membership, with regard to the tickets in general, it is tricky. It is unfortunate, and Gav, you and me, we are more local. We are able to get the games easier, and I personally feel very fortunate to be in that situation. But as the club gets more successful, it's going to become harder for us as well. So we need to be strong together as a fan base. I'll admit that the membership scheme, when it was first mentioned and what have you, I don't think I'm too selfish, but I can only look at it from my point of view, and I could understand why it was brought in. But listening to people like Brett, listening to people like Chris, they very eloquently put across their concerns. It's not just people whinging for the sake of whinging. It's genuine issues coming from a genuine place of wanting to support the club. So memberships are going to stay whether we like it or not. As I said earlier, in theory, I've got no objection to the club having membership schemes, but they do need to work. And if the club at the end of this season were to say, yeah, we've revisited it, we've remodeled it, I think they'd probably get a lot of goodwill, because some people are being shortchanged and left out and feeling left out, which is not good.
I must admit, I heard the pod the other day with Martin on. I know we've obviously gone quite sidetracked from the news pod, but when he mentioned he's mentioned about getting like discounts in the club shop that other teams do, sort of thing. That, like, I've just spent 60 odd quid on my shirt. I've just spent, like, I bought the girls their shirts as well. So I'm already 200 plus quid out of pocket buying kits, which I wanted to buy because I love him. They're absolutely brilliant. But if you had a discount on that or something, it would make a massive difference. Just so you can feel like you'll get here and now, where you say you are, say, because you do have to pick and choose games. You do feel, and as Martin's case is massively like relevant here. He might only get one game, but he's had to pay 70 odd quid to maybe get to a game. It's mental. It's crazy how at the moment how it's working. But and so I'm not against memberships. Though it's not me saying, because I think we do need to keep putting money into the club. That's the way forward. That's for us to keep this club moving, to keep being able to buy £40 million players and things like that. The club has to make money. It's a business at the end of the day. So I do. I'm not naive enough to think it's not.
Right, let's end on a positive, chaps. It might not be a positive, but quick question, Andrew. Do you think by, let's say, Sunday evening, do you think Sunderland will have another player through the door? Yes or no?
Get on. Yeah. We're Sunderland fans, man, Gav. We've got to try and keep positive.
Absolutely. Go on, Brett. What about you?
I'm going to say yes, because that 98 quid I paid is going to just tip the scales in our favour. No, I think we'll get one. I'll see one. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll say yes as well. Go on. There's 3 yeses. I've got to end on a positive, because that was but that was all very relevant, and there'll be people listening to this nodding away at what you're saying, Brett, in the exact same boat. And I don't think it's going anywhere. It's interesting because with the Fulham game, it's raising the merits, isn't it, or the lack of merits of this whole system. And we'll see what happens for I don't know who's the next home game after that. Is it Arsenal?
Arsenal at 8 o'clock. So.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably sell all their away tickets, so there's a couple of thousand less that we'll get anyways. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yes, let's see where things go from here, chaps, and we will leave it there for today. Thank you very much, Andrew. Always a pleasure, mate.
Same from me. I always enjoy talking about Sunderland. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and cheers, Brett. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks for letting me rant just there, because my missus will be playing running to her about it. So yeah, I felt like I got a lot off my chest.
Well, after this podcast, lads, I think our build up to the weekend starts. We've got a special guest coming on to talk all about Ipswich Town tomorrow, and then we'll have the match day preview and the reaction pod dropping on Saturday, with Sunday's supplement coming your way after we get things recorded in the morning on Sunday morning. So we've got James Copley from the Sunderland Net will join us for that one. Lots coming up over the coming days here on Haway The Podcast, your daily SAFC podcast. You might have noticed that we've got a new logo. You might have noticed that we've got new artwork on the pod feeds. That's our new lick of paint for the new season. Still the same old voices, though, the same old stale, bland opinions from me. But yes, we've given ourselves a bit of a makeover, and you might see us, and you might see our ugly mugs as revealed on the pod the other day, over on YouTube at some point this coming weekend. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Search for Haway The Podcast on YouTube. Get subscribed because we are diversifying and the old fogies are coming into the 21st century there. So, yes, we're going to try our hand at doing some video stuff. And you can see how horrifically ugly I am and the rest of the lads are all beautiful. I'm not going to slag them off. But yeah, yes, get subscribed on YouTube. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the lads. We will be back with another pod tomorrow. We'll see you then.